Welcome to the Pivot Point Podcast. This season, I'm focused on inclusive leadership and how to lead like an ally. In this episode, I will share some ideas and insights from my new research for my new book, Lead Like an Ally, and leave you with some actionable tips to think about and discuss with your organization. I share this information because inclusive leadership is a journey. It requires bravery and courage, and you do not have to do it alone. At Pivot Point, I believe we are stronger together. We are one. Let's dig into this week's topic. So as you know, if you've been following episodes 1 through 6 of season 4, you've got enough information, enough content to know what it means to be an ally, what it means to not be an ally, and some of the inclusive leadership behaviors that will set you apart from the pack, and also make you not only diverse and inclusive, or promoting diversity and inclusive rather, you will also make yourself better as a leader. And the back half of our episodes 6 through 12, we're going to focus on just that. Your leadership style, in fact, is this episode's module. And as you know, this is modeled after our Lead Like an Ally inclusive leadership program. It's all virtual, takes no more than an hour a month. We've got this content dialed down, distilled to small bite-sized nuggets. If you join the program, preview the content, it's completely complimentary to do so. You'll see there is a ton more to the program than what I'm sharing with you on these podcasts. But I really want everyone to have access to an inclusive leadership journey and to be able to define your own brand of allyship and what it means to you to be an inclusive leader. So that's the intent of this series. We're going to dig into leadership styles. So I'm, as always, going to give you some insights, some ideas, some strategies, some tools. You get some bonus content this week. So we might go a little longer than normal. We've been trying to keep these around 10 to 12 minutes. We've got 6 ideas this week. I just couldn't help myself with all of the rich content that it means about your leadership brand, especially when it comes to inclusion. So, the first tidbit that I will share around leadership style is knowing when to ask versus when to tell. Leaders often ask me this: how do I know when I'm just supposed to tell somebody what to do versus let them figure it out? We've been talking about the importance of coaching, self-discovery, staying open to input, being curious. You know, all these tools kind of come together with this learning to know if you've seen somebody do something before, they probably know how to do it. Therefore, you really don't need to tell them. You can definitely ask them. Conversely, if you have never seen them do something like this at all before, or never heard them say they had done something like this before, and you're not confident they actually know how to do it, then you do need to tell them. I often find, though, that leaders overuse the telling versus the asking. We can ask more questions than we do. We default to directive mode and tell mode because we feel like it's easier. It just gets that email out of your inbox. It gets that person out of your office. It gets you onto the next thing, getting stuff done. Totally get it. We're all working managers. We all have a job to do. We all have things that we need to be doing. However, if your default is ask mode instead, given that you think the person really knows the answer, maybe they're just looking for some reassurance. If you ask then the next time you ask again, they learn to not come to you every time they have a problem, which frees up so much bandwidth. This is a huge, huge win for you because it frees you up to do the important stuff. It frees them up to do their job, which is exactly what you want them to do. So ask more than tell, but know when you need to tell. There are definitely situations that telling and directing is appropriate. Second tool, delegation. So the skill and will model is my very favorite model to understand when to delegate. If someone has the skills to do the task and the will, the motivation, the confidence, etc., delegate. Get out of their way. The worst thing that I see leaders do that are not inclusive is they delegate something to somebody, then get in their way and overmanage them and micromanage them and direct them when you identified them to delegate to because you saw that they were capable and motivated. Get out of their way. Otherwise, you're going to demotivate them. And they're not going to feel trusted, which we know trust is key to an inclusive culture where people feel seen, heard, and belong. Which brings me to the third point. We talked about coaching to success earlier and the pillars of coaching in one of our previous episodes. You have to dig to find that if you can't remember the skills of a coach, but it is one of the ally roles that we talked about early on. The GROW model of coaching is incredibly helpful. An acronym, I love my acronyms. I'm throwing a lot at you, I know. GROW stands for Goal, Reality, Options, Will. Whenever I'm teaching leaders on how to be inclusive, coaching comes hand in hand with this content. You got to get comfortable with the discomfort we've talked about. And one way to do that is to have a structure of which to ask questions. So it's one thing to kind of wander around in the dark and ask people questions and then look at you bewildered. That's the fear. That's why we don't ask as much. Instead, if you go into coach mode, channel your inner coach that asks questions, listens, promotes self-discovery, and ask questions like, what is your goal? What does success look like? What is reality? What's happening now? What are the options? Give me some ideas. Let's brainstorm. What is the will? What is your commitment to this? What are your action steps? So these questions build off of each other. The GROW model of coaching, if you haven't seen it before, check it out. Super simple back pocket questions to go into that coach mode, to get people to come up with their own ideas and to free up some of your bandwidth that's so precious as a leader. 4, on leadership style, giving to give. One of my favorite things to do is to pour into others, to give others. However, if I keep giving, I risk being a doormat, having people take advantage of that, which honestly, most people do not. However, intentional giving. Think about your best gives. Also, think about what gives you the most energy when you give to people. What are you really good at? What do you really enjoy doing? That's where you want to give. And you want to give without the expectation to receive, as my friend Adam Grant says in his book, Give and Take. Highly recommend for inclusive leadership. Lots of data to show givers are more successful than the takers and the matchers. So giving, pouring into people intentionally so that it doesn't become a time suck and you don't get taken advantage of, very powerful. 5th strategy, identify the strengths in others. There's a great framework out there, the Strength Finder, to identify the top strengths on your team. Highly recommend. The book comes with a free assessment to identify your top 5. But even if you don't have that, think about what are the key strengths of people on your team. Map it out, put it out there, invite them into the process, ask them what they think their strengths are, put them in a position to use their strengths more. We are far better when we're focused on our strengths than trying to improve on our weaknesses. I always use the example when I'm speaking, I am terrible with details, anything analytical, spreadsheets. I have to put music on, a candle burning, sing Kumbaya to get myself into that analytical mode. I need help with that. If I had someone that would constantly ask me to be better with details, I would feel suffocated. I would feel like a different version of myself. Don't ask people to be different. Ask them to be better at what they're already good at doing. Then, 6th, if you think about your leadership style and being an inclusive leader, bolster the confidence of others around you. Tap into their sources of confidence. Know what gets them up in the morning. Know what keeps them up at night. Get to know the people around you. I have a privilege to work with an amazing team here at Pivot Point, and I will say this is an issue that we are battling, right? We are really focused on improving the confidence of our team so that we can lead like allies and that we can be our most confident, authentic selves with those around us. If not, if you're in that self-doubt mode and wanting constant reassurance, you're just not going to be as productive. So anyone that has, confidence challenges, seek it out. Ask them how you could help them with that. Build them up. Tell them, see what I see. Hold the mirror up for them to see, hey, you're pretty awesome. And that will bolster their confidence. So reflect on your leadership style, your leadership brand, and how you want to lead like an ally, as we always do in any of these episodes. I have given you a plethora of ideas. I hope you like some of them. I hope you can apply some of them right away. So pick one of the tools, dig in, and listen to the next episode and build off of it. This is a journey. We're here for you. So if you liked this episode, and if you like the fourth season of the Pivot Point podcast, I invite you to check out nextpivotpoint.com. There, you can sign up for the complimentary 30-day preview of our new program, Lead Like an Ally, and you can order your book, Lead Like an Ally. I appreciate you listening to this episode. Who do you know that needs to hear this message? Hit the share button. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. Search Julie Kratz, Kratz. I host this podcast because I believe we are stronger together. We are one.